Hey class, I am sorry about the makeup assignment. So the makeup assignment had to do with Mocha AE, and I didn't realize with the new release of After Effects that the Mocha AE interface is completely different than what's in the video that I shared with you. So I just want to go over how to work with that interface and to get a good track and then actually track an image inside of the green screen. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to import the footage that I mentioned in the makeup assignment. And this footage is from that Pexel site. And sometimes if you don't have good footage, it's not going to track well. But this one actually tracks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert this into a composition. You can see that we have the green screen that's on the mobile device here going across the screen. We don't need all of this, so I'm going to just trim down to maybe like 3 seconds. And I'll just trim the comp area to that. And so now we only have this much movement. So we don't have to track that much. So going up to the animation menu now, this used to say track in Mocha AE. Now it says track in Boris FX Mocha. And when I go ahead and click on this, now it shows up as an effect. And this is kind of like when we're working with Cinema 4D. So this is kind of like a gateway. This is a plugin that's going to talk to Mocha, and it's going to bring in the tracking data, whereas before you had to copy or export the tracking data. Now it's actually going to do everything with this plugin, so it's kind of like a gateway plugin. So to launch Mocha AE, I'm just going to go ahead and click the launch button, and it brings up the interface. And a lot of things are new. Some of these tools are new, and some of these settings are new. This timeline feature is a little bit new. So let's go over what we need to do here. So with this tool, this is what we use to create the spline. And then once we create the spline, we can get the tracking data that we want for this green screen interface. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on this. You're going to get this. And what we're doing here is we're defining the outer area, not the inner area right now. So what we're telling Mocha is to track this information, the outside, not the green screen yet. So very liberally, I'm going to click out here, down here in the corner. This can be a little messy. It doesn't have to be precise because, again, we're not really tracking the green screen. We're tracking the actual device. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and right-click in order to get out of that interface. Now you notice that everything is kind of rounded here. So to change that, you can grab on these blue handles on the outside and just pull on them to make this a lot cleaner. I'm just going to pull that in a little bit, get it away from the hand, pull this in, and pull this in. We want to kind of like work on the area that's going to be captured. Okay, so then we go ahead and work on this. And this is the actual area that we're going to replace. So grabbing these corners. Now it used to zoom in the old interface, it would zoom in for you. In this new interface, it's not doing that off. I mean, if I want to, I can zoom in with these zoom tools that are here. And there's some keyboard shortcuts for those, but I'm not going to do that right now. I just want to get this track going. So I'm just, kind of just refining this a little bit. And then these buttons are now to play through the footage. There used to be track buttons here. And then over here are the track motion options. These are the tracking options that we want to do. If there's any perspective motions, skew, rotate, scale, or transfer. This footage is pretty straightforward. The screen pretty much stays in the same orientation throughout the whole scene. So I'm not gonna put on this perspective option. And then we have the tracking options here. So this will allow me to track forward, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to go ahead and track forward. What should happen is that box should follow the mobile screen all the way through. And we want to just make sure that it's doing that. And it's going frame by frame, and it's going to go ahead and for every frame, it's going to look at that green screen, and it's going to try to follow and track that data. And it's doing a pretty good job. It's staying where it's supposed to be, which is good. All right, so now we have all the tracked data. So we don't need the Mocha information anymore. You can save the project if you want to, and then close down the interface. Then if we open up the tracking data in this plugin, we choose the layer that had all the tracking information. We could have named it, but we're just picking up layer 1. And we'll go ahead and click OK. Now, you can see the corner point pins, and they're in the place where we put them in the Mocha AE interface. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is screen replacement. Now, for screen replacement, we need to import some footage. Now, in the other video, he mentioned that the screen size is important. So if you look at the composition settings here, the composition settings are set to 1920 by 1080. So the screen that I'm replacing actually has to match that. So what I did was I downloaded an image of an iPhone screen, and I put it into Photoshop, and I scaled and transformed it. And if you look at the image size here, the image size matches the composition settings with 1920 by 1080. So go ahead and click OK on that. So now in After Effects, I'm going to go ahead and import that footage. So I'll just right-click, Import File, and going into my Downloads folder, I'll have that iPhone UI, and I'll grab that, and then I'm going to drop that on top of my screen cap. So then I'm going to go back to the effect controls, and down here, export option is set to corner pin. That's what we want. And then we want to set the layer to the UI, and then I'm going to go ahead and apply the export, and then it applies it. And you can see that it's going to follow the screen. Now there's some green going on here, right? You can see that. So that's why they're giving you these controls so that you can modify if you want to. So let's say the bottom left corner, if I want to move that a little bit, I can move that, okay, and adjust. Okay, but I think that might be just for that frame. But essentially, that's how we use this tool now. I apologize again. The previous video was for a previous version of Mocha. I didn't realize that they changed Mocha and the interface and the way that it works with After Effects. So hopefully this will clarify that, and you can be able to complete the assignment. All right, thanks, guys.